The Tech Addicts Podcast, not worth the paper it's printed on. This week our thoughts on the Razer Leviathan V2X, the Anker Prime, Nokia doing couriers, smart headphones, Amazon's announcements, Microsoft Word turns 40, Yetis, and the Yotaphone. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts Podcast. It's September... No, it's not. It's October 1st. And I'm your host, Gareth, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Ted Salmon. How are you, Ted?
It's October. It's nearly Christmas, you see.
We've got to get through Halloween first.
Oh dear, how dreadful.
You got all your horror movies lined up?
Yeah, that's going to be quite good fun, actually. Nice thing about living where I do is you don't get people banging on the door and saying, trick or treat, or that kind of shit stuff that tends to go on. Not that I'm a miserable git or anything. Well, I am, but not for that reason. What was your question? How am I? Oh yeah, I'm alright, thank you. Oh, weather report.
Oh yeah.
The weather report is that it's... I woke up in the night last night and I was really hot. It was a really mild night last night, but generally speaking, I'm much happier now. The days and the nights are cooler and I am not going to complain. It's cloudy and okay. What's it like there?
It's not so bad, actually. The sun is out. I can see some blue sky, and the temperature says it's 16 degrees. So I did see a news report yesterday that there was going to be a couple of warm sort of heat waves during October.
How dreadful. Did you get hit by Storm Agnes?
I did. There was a couple of things that blew over in the garden, and I had to go out in the pissing rain and pick them up and put them in a sensible place, because those sorts of things don't get picked up by the person who put them out in the garden. No. We wait until they blow over, and then I have to pick them up and then put them away. But you know those little cast iron sets you get? Two chairs and a table?
Yeah.
The chairs blew over. The table didn't, but the chairs blew over, which makes me think that was actually quite a strong gust that managed to do that, because they're fairly weighty chairs, to be honest.
Right.
What about you? You obviously didn't roll down the hill or anything.
No, there's no hill here. I'm right by the sea, which means the only danger really is that flooding. I suppose if the sea levels rose, I could get flooded, but it's highly unlikely. But yes, it was very windy, I have to say. Not as bad as some people got, like on the Irish Sea kind of coasts, Anglesey, a bit further to the west, they got it really bad. I think they shut the bridge to Anglesey quite early in the day. And it was very, very windy. And it was gusty here, but not terrible. And my Amolto's turned itself off. It's unbelievable, isn't it, this Amolto? I'm going to get my money back from them. 30 quid I gave them, so did you. And the bloody thing doesn't work half the time.
Well, fingers crossed, mine's still going. It's been 3 minutes and 29 seconds, so...
All right, I've started
in for a penny, in for a pound.
I've started it again. We'll see what happens. Record audio only, and it is rolling again. It's just bizarre, isn't it? I'm going to go back to MP3 Skype recorder, I think. All is forgiven.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
What's happened now? What was the next disaster?
I broke a nail. Must have been when I was moving the Synology. Oh,
well.
It's broken right the way down. Way down there.
Now, I've had a read, but while you're fixing up your biology stuff, I've got to report that I got the fastest ever connection speed on my amazing EE 5G thingy, 400 down and 80 up, and
wow.
The evidence is in the show notes to prove it. 400, and this is like 5 and 6 times faster than my mum and dad's broadband even. It's just amazing what EE have done on the North Wales coast. So yeah, very good indeed. And
would you say that's consistent, or would you? Can you repeat that over and over again?
say that again.
Can you repeat those speeds over and over again?
Hook, line, and sinker.
You rascal, you.
Yeah, if I take, I mean, I haven't seen 400 again since I've done that, but I have seen 260 and stuff. So you know, of course that day happened to be a very good peak, no doubt. But anyway, it was very, very good.
Oh, hang on a second. Was that during Storm Agnes, when no one in their right mind is in a caravan site on the Welsh coast?
Yes,
You had the entire tower to yourself.
indeed. No, it wasn't, in answer to your question. And the other thing I wanted to report about is that I've got fed up with that bloody big Geekom thing, because it was getting slower and slower. I even went back to my giant Windows 10 PC for a while, and I thought, I can't be bothered with this. And then I tried again. I talked to Ian Barton about it, and he tried to send me some tips and what have you. And so I set it all up again with that Geekom, and it's just slow and sluggish, and stuff that I tell it to do, that there's lags on the screen and blah blah blah. And in the end, I just got fed up and I unplugged it. And what I noticed was I plugged in my laptop. This is a Nitro 5, Acer Nitro 5 gaming laptop, 17-inch screen, all singing, all dancing. It's a really good machine, i7 chipset, and 16 gigs of RAM. And what I noticed was, immediately I set this up with my HDMI out to my monitor and blah blah blah. I got it all set up, and immediately it's like lightning. Anything I throw at it, it's doing really, really quickly. And it's just like chalk and cheese to that Geekom. I know the Geekom was only an i5, but there's something about maybe having a gaming laptop, like you were saying. They've thought about processing graphic-based stuff and what have you. But I'm, at the moment, that's plugged in, and I'm very happy, except for one aspect, which we may come to later.
Well, having a look at some of the specs of the Nitro 5, I don't know which one it is you have, other than the i7. You can get it with various different flavours of graphics cards inside, which will certainly up the performance greatly, because the processor doesn't have to touch anything graphical, because it's all going through the graphics card. So the processor can focus on computations for planning the trip around the sun and things like that in Star Trek 4. So it can do all of those things and fast.
Yeah. So I'm very impressed with it, and so at the moment I've got it plugged into my, that's what I'm using as my main computer. I even set up Plex on it, which took, incidentally, 22 hours to collect the metadata. I timed it. 22 hours. But the other thing I wanted to quickly mention was the fact that OneDrive hijacked my laptop and really confused me about desktops. I don't know if you've seen this, but my mum and dad had this. When my dad's PC went to Windows 11, they updated it. They got lost with what was the desktop and what wasn't the desktop. And it turns out it's that OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive, is hijacking it by default. And it's giving you this kind of pseudo desktop that you don't want. And I've fiddled around behind the scenes here with this one, and I've managed to get rid of it out of the way. And so the desktop that says it's on the desktop on the left-hand sliding in panel is actually the desktop that I want to use, and not the OneDrive one. And I've now turned off OneDrive as well. But yeah, Microsoft, I think, are getting a bit naughty about embedding their services and confusing people as to how it all works together. Have you found this?
I have, yes. I despise OneDrive in every shape or form.
Yeah.
And despite having it disabled, it's almost like Microsoft uses any opportunity to re-enable it and get it going. And before you know it, you have all these little ticks on your desktop to say that, things have been synced and stuff. And that shouldn't show through. That shouldn't appear, especially whenever it's been disabled. But it's always there, and it's always in the background, ready to just spring out and go, surprise, it's me! Yeah. Remember, I'm back! Look at all the things I can do now to piss you off.
Yeah.
It's like Edge. No matter what you do, it'll somehow become important to you. It'll just boot, despite the fact you might have removed it. You've gone through everything to do to get it off your system. it's still there. It's hanging on. There where there's a seed, there's a root, it's a weed. Yeah, it's a weed that works its way through your computer.
And
like OneDrive.
And it survives taking it away from the startup menu as well, which I've noticed.
Yeah.
Startup, that startup procedure thing that you go and tick the boxes for, you might as well not bother, because it just ignores it anyway.
Well, maybe it's Microsoft being slightly more aggressive because, there's rules and laws that are going to some point say in the future that they're not going to be able to do this. But like Google not being able to be the default search engine on a Google phone, that kind of thing, where those come through. At some point, it's going to turn around and bite Microsoft in the bum, and they've seen before where Internet Explorer isn't allowed to be the default from the start. You have to be offered, do you want another browser? Yeah. Those sorts of things. So they are particularly aggressive to try and pick up a few customers before these kind of things get installed. Like OneDrive's not going to be allowed to be the default cloud storage solution right off the bat. Once you install Windows, they're going to have to say no. But there's these other providers as well. You can go to Dropbox and Google Drive and P Cloud, threw them in because I like them. Instead of us, so why not just push and push and push?
Yeah. Eventually, the EU will do an Apple on them, won't they? They'll say, you behave where you can't do business in Europe, and then they'll suddenly stop being naughty. They'll stop being naughty.
Yeah. So there's tips and tricks online as to how to get rid of OneDrive for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Until there's some sort of update, in which case then it's all back like a disease. Ready to take out. So OneDrive and Ebola are very similar. You can't wipe them. Smallpox, you can't wipe it out. They'll find OneDrive remnants in the permafrost in thousands of years' time. All right, what's next? Kurt Kaufman has written in about the Kindle, a Kindle rival, in fact.
This looks really nice, doesn't it?
It does. It's a phone. It's pretty much a phone.
It's called a Boox Palmer. I've got a Boox device here. It's not a phone-sized device like this Palmer, but it's a Kindle kind of device. But this looks really nice, and I think we'll come to Harkback later on when we're talking about e-ink screens. But this is essentially a phone running Android if you want. And it is based around a 6.13 e-ink display, 128 gigs on board of storage and 6 gigs of RAM. We're going to be in danger of jumping into Harkback because some of the things I'm going to say will be the same there. But the thing is that the screen moves slowly. And like you get with a Kindle, you can't expect it to be blazingly fast like a phone. But if you don't want your phone to be blazingly fast and you're more interested in power loss and it lasting a long time, then this could be just the kind of thing that you might want. It's got a micro SD card slot on it to store all your books on it. I mean, it's very book-centric, but phone-sized. And it's got a speaker as well, which some Kindles now don't have. In fact, most of them don't have, I don't think. And it's got a dedicated physical hardware page turn scroll button on the side, which is really nice, a bit like the Marshall London. And camera on the back, and USB-C charging. It looks really nice for someone who's willing to take the hit, and this is not expensive. In Europe, it's €299. So it's a nice bit of kit, I think, for that price. If you're prepared to accept Android with no bells and whistles, speed, and colour. Yeah,
it does sit a bit too expensive for my liking. I think the big benefit of this would be you can set your phone aside and not be interrupted whenever you're using this device, although Android will probably find some way of interrupting you when you're trying to read something and concentrate on it. But to pay that money for not being interrupted. Oh, and also there's third-party cloud storage integration with Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive. So OneDrive will be there to piss you off whilst you're trying to read Ulysses.
But it is. I did notice it's still on Android 11, which is not a particularly good sign. But then they'll probably argue that doesn't matter because of where they're aiming this. That it doesn't matter. The security updates are the important bit. And anyway, it was a nice find, Kurt. So thank you for posting it. And I think it's really, really interesting myself.
And the back texture looks pretty good. It looks like it's got very grippy like wallpaper almost. Yeah. That kind of grippy wallpaper. I suppose they've put a lot of thought into it. It's water repellent design. Okay, all right.
It looks like maybe it's leather on the back.
No, I think it's that kind of plastic with almost like ash or something like that painted under it. So that's why I said wallpaper, because I know there's a type of wallpaper that's a bit like this, or paint that you put in the wall.
Yeah.
That has just tiny little dimples.
Yeah.
Randomly scattered throughout,
yeah.
So it gives you a better grip.
Very nice. I would like one. I think you're right. If it was a bit cheaper, I would be more wanting to try it out. Because, anyway, we'll come to this whole thing a bit later in the show. But, it's a nice, interesting option.
Yes. Well, Ian Barton has written in about his desire to have the new Anchor Prime. And I've watched a few videos on YouTube about this, and it does look very nice. If only it would ship to Northern Ireland, that would be fantastic. This is the Anchor Prime with the 27,650 milliamp hour power bank experience. It's got a nice screen on the front, and I was reading that the 27,650 milliamp hours sounds a bit strange of an amount, but whenever you convert that into wattage, it's just under the amount that you can bring onto a plane. It's hand luggage, I believe. If they had gone a wee bit bigger and put it up to 28,000 milliamp or 30,000, then you wouldn't be able to take it on board the plane with you. So that's a strategy move by them. But it's got all kinds of interesting little things that are built into the screen. But there's an app as well that can work things out for you. So you can work out how many charges you can get for your phone or laptop or whatever, based around the size of the battery, the amount of battery power that's left in the Anchor Prime, and be able to take it with you, knowing full well you're going to get 1.5 charges on your iPhone, or maybe 5 charges on your iPhone, depending on how much is left. So it really seems like they've gone the extra mile with all of the bells and whistles that this has. Now, this isn't being those features aren't being dropped onto all of the new line of Anchor power banks. It's pretty much this one has them itself, but that's not to say that later on they won't bring it to other ones. But this has Bluetooth built in, so it can communicate with your phone and the app quite nicely. Ted, what have you noticed about it?
I've noticed that it's very similar to the one that Steve Litchfield bought and raved about for a while, but it's more powerful. It's got a bigger capacity for storage. I think his one was 24,000. It's also got 250 watt output total, whereas the one that he got was 140 watts. And that means that it maxes out for any one device at 140, but you can plug in more than one device, and you can get to a maximum of 250 for all of them, which is, I think, different to the one that he was talking about and bought. It's also got 170 watt fast USB recharging, which means that if you need to charge this thing up from 0 to 100, it'll only take 37 minutes if you've got a charger that is 170 watts. So I think they've taken Steve's one and they've pepped it up, and they've just kind of made it bigger and better and more powerful. There's also a 20,000 milliamp hour 200 watt version of the thing as well. I haven't seen any pricing though. Have you seen pricing?
It's showing $130 on the American site. So
for the 27,651.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, for the 20,000.
Oh, for the 20,000. Oh yeah, I've got it. Yeah, $20,130, and the. Oh yeah, it doesn't say what. It just says coming soon, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, in the same kind of ballpark figure as the one that Steve got, but I think they've just pepped it up, and I'm not sure if his one has an app. He'll probably advise us now that I've said this. But yeah, they've just I think they've just souped it up, put it on steroids.
Yeah. It is taking its time to come. I think a lot of people are very much anticipating this, and it couldn't come quick enough. But I don't know if there is actually a full release date. It just says coming soon.
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long? A lot of reviewers have it. But it is quite sizable as well. You could kill a burglar with it. Yes,
yeah. Very nice though. Thank you, Ian. Hope you get one from Santa Claus.
Sorry?
He says he wants one from Father Christmas, so I said, I hope you get one from Santa Claus.
I'm just saying that now, right? Okay. Keith Bartlett has written in about Nokia launching industrial 5G devices to keep workers safe and connected to the industrial environments. Ted, you love your Nokia. Are you excited about their industrial devices?
It's quite interesting what they're doing, I think. They're kind of going into the kind of CAT territory, CAT territory, and for providing these kind of ruggedized work-based handhelds. They are the kind of Microsoft of the phone hardware. Microsoft making sure that they look after business with everything else, but Nokia now look as though they're going to go headlong into the industrial. One of the things that they claim is that this phone is explosion proof, which I think actually means that it's gas explosion proof, not that it won't blow up. I think it means that if you put it next to a gas boiler and the gas boiler blows up, it will survive that. And there's all sorts of other technical stuff going on here about the way in which it's been rated industrially and what it can do. And it's basically, I mean, you can plough through it all and it looks like it's, any kind of work environment that you're likely to put this thing into, it will do the business with. Now, as to what sort of phone it is, it's probably, fairly basic. It is a 5G phone, but I think probably in terms of functionality, which there's not too much detail about here, this is not going to be a Samsung phone by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be a work-based workhorse. But yeah, interesting the way Nokia are going, I think, and deciding to focus in on not trying even to compete with the big boys in the consumer-based market.
Well, yeah, it's just occurred to me because I'm thinking, hang on a second, I've got a delivery about to arrive. I've just got tracking on it there. It's not just using them on building sites. Couriers use them as well. And there's millions and billions of couriers all over the world. So if they have there must be such a huge demand for rugged devices, because couriers, I can't imagine, would be the most careful of I'm not painting them as careless or anything like that, but they're out running up and down driveways, and I'm sure they get dropped quite a lot. And I think I heard on the Whatever Works podcast, they're used to knock against doors and things like that. Bang, 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 you've heard that. And people sign them. They have to hand them over to the customer to sign and things like that. So they do get passed around and used and abused. So ruggedization is important. So Nokia must be really just going, well, this is an area that we need to be in. Because you always think of people who are, on a building site using them, but you maybe don't see that many people on a building site with the ruggedized phone.
Indeed. Well, apparently they're doing a deal with this company called iSafe Mobile in order to produce the hardware. So it'll be interesting to see how that transpires. Thanks to Keith Bartlett for posting that in the group. Very interesting. Everyone's been posting stuff in the group this week. Well done, everyone. We want more of that.
Quite right. No, that's a cool story. I hadn't thought about it that way before. So it's thanks, Keith, for making me think again about it. And the courier is going to be arriving in about 15 minutes. I reckon they're around the corner.
Yeah.
It's a new cafetiere because I smashed mine, so I've ordered a metal one instead. So I can't knock it out of the cupboard.
Better idea. You just dent it.
Yes, might be more visible actually if it's mirrored and chromy. Okay, on previous shows we have mentioned, I think in the bargain basement actually, the Razer Leviathan V2X.
Oh yeah, that was on the last show. In fact, yeah,
it was. And this is a pretty cool looking soundbar with a bit of RGB built into it that you plug into your computer and get some sound going, and it's quite small, sits on the desk and looks great. So I thought to myself, I've got these big Edifier bookshelf speakers either side of my computer, and I figured, they do take up an awful lot of space. I'm going to go and bite the bullet and get one of these because they're reduced in price from £100 down to £80 or something, and also they were doing, I think, 6 months on them, so you can pay them off at 13 quid or whatever that works out. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. So I just went, right, I'm going to get one and I'm going to take it and I'm going to plug it in. I watched a few reviews on it on YouTube, and it arrived, the day before it arrived I realised, oh shit, I'm watching the wrong reviews, because there's the Leviathan V2 Pro, the Leviathan V2X, and then the Leviathan V2. Yeah. So I worked out which one I had, and finding good quality reviews of the Leviathan V2X was quite difficult to come by. You end up with some knob end like me taking it out of the box and prattling on about it in a very amateur kind of way, where you want a professional review. It's hard to come by. But I thought, well, okay, these people are loving it, so I'll give it a go. It arrived, I took it out, I set it down, I realised that it is USB Type-C and only USB Type-C, a criticism made of the other Leviathan models, and I plugged it in and it started working, and I set up the RGB to kind of match what I have going on inside my case, and then I turned on Starfield. And it was shit. It was really bad. The sound quality was poor. And by comparison, I turned on my headphones and set my headphones facing me, and they sounded better sitting in front of this, playing at me. It's like, oh, right. I'll go and monkey around with some of the settings and see if Windows is having a bit of a time with this. And not really, but what I did notice is that the USB drivers can be a bit finicky on it as well, because this is only USB, and USB isn't the best thing at the best of times, especially when it comes to Windows 10 and 11. And after doing a restart, I noticed the sound was considerably better, but still not particularly terrific in any way. And I'm spoilt by these bookshelf speakers that I have, because they're edifiers and they're fantastic. They just throw the sound at you. But I could not get on with this. Everything that I put on just sounded weaselly and weak.
Did you download the Synapse software?
Well, I had no choice, because as soon as I plugged it in, it downloaded it automatically and stuck it on. And then it tried to download all this other stuff, which I gave a go to, just to have a play around to see what the software they brought was like. There was Connects or something like that tries to modify what's happening in the background to help run your game at a better speed, and it shuts everything down, and so it focuses more on your gaming, and or at least pauses everything. It just focuses RAM and processing power toward playing the game, but it still just sounded weak. really, really weak. To the point that I decided, that's it, I'm taking it out and putting my bookshelf speakers back. But in the meantime, I was offered by SPKPAL, SPKPAL, the S135 computer speakers for desktop. And this is a £19 mini soundbar that has a USB plus a 3.5, so it's already got a step up there over the Leviathan. They offered it to me to have a quick go at in a review. And I have it sitting beside me, and it's plugged into my Chromebook. And see the sound quality of this. It's comparable to that Leviathan V2 X. And I can't believe that, one's £90, the other's £19, and this one doesn't look anywhere near as good, but the sound is easily just as good. It's got a bit of RGB going on in this as well, which you can turn off and on as you please. It doesn't have the software solution that Razer's provided with the Leviathan, but I'd say save your money and just buy something like this instead, because that Leviathan V2X is weedy. That's the only word I can really give to it, is weedy. You bought one as well, didn't you?
I did. Well, it was in the sale, and it was in Bargate Basement, and I thought, yeah, that'll fit nicely. And I've got the complete opposite experience to you, to be honest. No, I'm not used to having bookshelf speakers around my PC in front of me, so we're probably coming at this from with very different expectations. But I found that it's bassy and it sounds really good. No, it's not like my proper Razer speakers, the beefy ones. You can tell the difference. But for me, in my situation, it's absolutely fine. The Synapse dancing lights is good fun if you want to turn it on. You don't have to. And yeah, you can get all sorts of RGB stuff going on. For those that want to. Now, I haven't done any gaming with it. I've only used it as my computer speaker with music and video and media in that respect. But it's been absolutely fine. I really like it, and I like the sound it makes. I don't quite get how what the connection issue is, but I do have a related USB connection issue, which is that what I've noticed is, since I've started using my laptop instead of my big computer, is that some things that you plug into a USB hub. So I've got my USB hub, my Dell USB hub, which is independently powered from the mains, and that's plugged into the USB-C port on the side of my laptop, okay?
Yeah.
And it's got lots of ports all over it, USB 3.1, blah, 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 and what have you. But what I found is that whatever I plug into it, there's often kind of delays going on. So, for example, my Stream Deck with my 32 buttons on it, when I press a button, it might take 1, 2, 3 seconds to actually do anything and react. And quite often it just... Now, I've looked up online about this with the Stream Deck Reddit and so forth, and they've said that they just don't want to be in a hub of any sort. They want to be right straight into the computer. So maybe one of the prices of going laptop is that you just haven't got the... I've got about 10 USB 3 ports on my giant computer, and they're all directly into the computer, and there's no hub involved. I don't know, or maybe this Dell hub is a bit crap. What's your experience of that? Laying aside your speaker and the Leviathan.
Well, I'd take the hub out and try it on your desktop computer and see if you have a similar experience first. Otherwise, I'd maybe check your laptop to see if it needs any updates. The BIOS might need updated, or there could be USB updates from the manufacturer to speed up the port. I have my Stream Deck plugged into a hub that goes into the computer because it's on the other side of the desk and the computer's way over there. And I notice absolutely no speed issue at all. I click a button and it happens. If I hit Starfield now, it would open the game and you wouldn't hear from me for the next hour or two. Which would probably be a benefit. I
have tested it on the giant computer, and the hub works fine on that. So it's something to do with the laptop, and
with the laptop then. And this is your Acer, isn't it?
Yeah, and when I started using it the other day as my primary computer, I did go through all the Acer software and made sure it was all updated. And it said it was. They've got this thing on there called... what's it called? I can't remember now. It's their proprietary software. Oh, here it is. Nitro Sense. And that leads you through checking all the hardware and going online and checking for updates. So I have done all that. So I don't know. Maybe the USB-C port, expecting a hub to run everything from one USB-C port, is a bit much. Perhaps I should try using a hub that uses USB-A 3.2 or whatever.
Yeah. Just having a quick Google now to see what other people with the Acer Nitro 5 are experiencing when it comes to BIOS updates and things like that. And there's a bit of a thing about people updating, so I'm not going to go into it because there's a lot of conversation and videos and things like that. But yeah, there are BIOS updates, and that might be worth looking into to see whether or not it could just speed up your USB.
Okay. I would have thought Nitro Sense would have told me that, but maybe not. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, I think the Leviathan's really good. I like it a lot. So I think we've just got different expectations. But I'm very pleased that you found one for like a fifth of the price.
Well, no, it's not that I'm going to be using this very much, but it has its benefits in that it's got a 3.5.
Yeah.
USB can be a bit of a pain. And even using it on this desktop computer, I was actually having to manually go down and switch my sound settings because the USB was being dominant. And it was actually really quite annoying. And whenever I moved away from the USB to move over to my headphones, to play the game on my headphones, because there's no headphone jack on that Razer Leviathan.
No.
Is there?
No, there's nothing.
19.1.
Oh, I see, right.
But you have to manually change that yourself, which was a pain in the arse.
Also, the Leviathan is a Bluetooth speaker. Presumably you worked that one out. So that presumably has got it over your cheap one as well.
No, the cheap one has Bluetooth on it. I haven't tested it yet.
So you can pair your phone with it and put the sound across.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay. In that case, I take back my criticism.
Hang on.
Oh, blimey.
Oh, I'm turning it on. Live on air.
Okay.
I'm trying to play the Tech Addicts podcast from my website. Not that it will play.
Would you like to use my mallet?
I don't know. It's not playing. I had it all set up to play. I was really excited about it. Oh, there we go now.
That was one of... Oh, hang on.
Described Tech Addicts as lively and rising.
It sounds really quite good. I pulled it up to full volume, and it there's no there's no breakup or anything like that. That Leviathan, I whacked it up to full volume, and it is considerably louder, I'll give you that. But it was starting to lose quite a bit whenever it got up into the 90s, 90%.
What, on Bluetooth?
Because it just... On both.
On both.
Both okay. Bluetooth and USB.
I reckon you might have a duff unit, you know. Honestly, I'm not joking, right? Because this one seems to be so good and doesn't comply with anything you're saying. I'm really, really pleased with it. I don't know. Presumably, things have faults.
It could do. Well, it's going back at any rate.
Yeah.
I'm not keeping it. I've gone back to my bookshelf speakers. I'm sorry I doubted you, bookshelf speakers. I will keep you on my desk forevermore.
And you don't want RGB.
No, I couldn't give a shit about RGB, to be honest. It's in my computer, but that's just because the motherboard and all that had it built into it. Yeah, all right. So, good luck with your USB hub. I don't really know what to suggest. No. Perhaps some of the listeners might have a better suggestion other than checking with Acer to see if there are any updates. I do remember going to websites and actually having to manually update stuff myself because things wouldn't be found by the integrated software. But I couldn't say that for Acer. But I'm trying to remember when I've done that. I've actually had to go to Intel's website and gone and downloaded a new chipset update and done it myself because, Windows Update and whatever has been built in hasn't gone and got it for me.
Okay. I shall look into it further and possibly test it with another powered hub as well, and see if that does the same thing. But yes, watch this space.
Yeah. Well, at least it's working. You just have to include those couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, the news. We've eventually got to the news, I don't know, about 39 minutes into the podcast or whatever. Right, Amazon have announced some new devices. Ted, you could care about these, couldn't you? There's the Amazon Show 8. There's the Amazon Frames. The Ergo Max 7, which I think looks really quite good, and the Echo Hub, which I can't imagine too many people are going to jump at. The Ring and Blink security camera updates, and then Fire TV updates as well. Was there anything that particularly caught your eye?
I suppose what they were saying about the generative AI will be the one that they're focused mainly on, which they're saying is going to be much better going forward. It's going to let you do what Google are trying to do with the Assistant by having real-time conversations and making the responses much more like a proper conversation and not a robotic kind of set of responses. Everyone's doing this, aren't they? Microsoft are playing with this as well, and it's just getting better and better. So that there's that for those that use those Amazon services for that kind of thing. The Echo Show 8. I don't know. Again, you'd have to be using their services to make the most of this, I think, and be kind of baked into the Amazon thing. And the same is true of the Echo Hub as well. They're trying to copy, presumably, what Google have done with their tablet there, and what they've done with home control and all of that stuff. The Ring and the Blink security cameras have all been updated. Apparently, they're much smarter, and they're able to detect motion more efficiently. Blah blah blah. There's a lot of kind of updates going on here to the way in which these things work. But I have to admit that apart from a flirtation with a Fire Stick ages ago, I've never really used any of this Amazon kind of hardware. I think you have, even if it's just like the doorbell stuff and the security camera stuff, haven't you?
Not really, no. I had a Fire TV years ago, and it's sitting in a drawer beside me because I disconnected it after they started monkeying around with it and removing certain services that I had been using.
Right.
But the Aero Max 7, I think, is the star contender here.
Right.
I'm quite enthusiastic about that because I see the amount of people that just rely entirely on the router provided by their network provider, which is probably the crappiest, cheapest, nastiest router that their provider, no matter who their provider is, can get their hands on, and try to, stick some LEDs into it and make it look cooler, RGB. Virgin is the worst for this, where they have this cool-looking super router and give it a fun name to make you think, wow, this is going to really jazz up my internet. And it only allows, 12 devices to actually connect to the internet. And people have more problems through the router than anything else. You sort the problem at the source first. If you know you've got a good, strong router, then everything else should flow from that. And the Aero is a brand that I have looked at before and considered myself because they are very cost effective. They roll out the 5 gigahertz, so you do get an awful lot of speed, and the frequency and the range is really quite good on them. So if people are looking for a simple router update, this could be a really good option for them, and it'll come with the Amazon price guarantees and being able to buy it and pay it off over a certain amount of time. All those things will be thrown in. So it could give you a good option as opposed to that rebranded Sagam lump of nonsense that's sitting beside your phone connection. It's got 10 gigabit Ethernet connections. It's 2.4 to 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz, promising speeds of up to 4.3 gigabits per second and 9.4 gigabits per second over a wired connection. There's 4 Ethernet ports on the back, and it covers a 2,500 square foot area, which is pretty big. It's not huge, but most houses that'll do. But if you live in like a sprawling bungalow or something like that, you might need a little repeater down the other end of the house, which I imagine they can throw in as well, because they'll probably have something like that they have had in the past, where you can buy 3 for a lot cheaper, and then it sets up a whole mesh network for you. This is the one that I think is the biggest that people should be looking at. If they want to improve their internet in the house.
$600.
Well, I'm hoping that it'll arrive maybe at that price initially. It'll probably be $599, and then they'll drop it down. And if you look at it on the 10th of October at the next Prime Day, it could be a lot cheaper than that again. And then paying it off over 6 months or whatever, you might not notice it.
You can see why people would shy away from it, though, unless they can actually see it working and see the difference. Because you're offered this router with your broadband deal, and the choice is to use that for free or included, or you pay $600 for this, and you think, well, I'm not going to pay $600 when I've got one for free. And most people won't be able to see the difference between the two readily. It's going to take some traction, I think, from Amazon to convince people that it's worth spending out $600.
Well, there was a good few months ago, I was in a work colleague's house, and she was complaining about her phone and how bad it was. And I was like, well, but I don't think it's your phone. She had the original BT, I think it was called the Super Hub. It was the white one with the phone at the front. The phone didn't work anymore, and there was just the bay to charge the phone. But she's had that for about 10 years. And she's been updating every year. But BT have never turned around and gone, oh, you need our new hardware.
No.
They've happily just taken her money and left her with that rubbish 2.4 gigahertz thing, and she's sitting there not getting a good connection on her phone, blaming her phone, going, I need to upgrade this phone. It's like, it's not your phone, it's that thing over in the corner. Get a better one.
Yeah. You tell her.
Yeah. Right. This was quite an interesting one that I happened upon just the other day. This is Vernte, VERNTE. These I don't know if these are going to be in any way a hit, but I just thought they're kind of fun. The Vernte Custos are smart headphones that have a 4G LTE SIM built into them. There's 128 or 256 gigabytes of storage, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and there's a 6 gigabyte RAM option as well. Again, I'll repeat, smart headphones. There's a 2-inch OLED display on the side. You can take calls, make calls, surf the internet on them, on your headphones.
How are you going to see what's on the internet if they're on your head?
Well, you take them off and you look at them.
So you use them as a phone by taking them off.
Yes, and looking at the side of them and interacting with the screen on the side. They've got built-in active noise cancellation. They work with Google Assistant. They come in a bunch of different colours. There's a pedometer in it, a GPS gravity motion sensor, altimeter, so you can fly. No, that's an altimeter. Altimeter, yeah. Checks your altitude, tells you where you are. And runs with Android. These look really quite interesting because they're a phone built into some over-ear headphones.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's completely bizarre.
as a QHD plus display.
It's assuming that people will have headphones on all the time. They won't have to carry a phone with them. When they want to do anything phone-based that doesn't include audio, they just take them off and use the tiny little 2-inch screen to do it with.
Well, you could imagine just sitting beside someone and they start talking to you whilst you've got your headphones, and you just mouth to them, "I can't hear you, call me."
Yeah.
And they have to phone you. And yeah, Ted, I reckon you should get a pair of these and just walk around with your fingers up, pointing them at everyone, going, "Up yours, up yours, up yours. You want me? Phone me."
$330. There seems to be some sort of Kickstarter. It's called Pledge Box. Is it a Kickstarter thingy campaign? I think it is.
Oh, it might be.
$330 for one pair, or you can get a 3-pack for $1,225.
Yeah, it's a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I'm on the Kickstarter page.
It'd be interesting to see if it takes off, if they actually do it, and if there's enough interest for anyone to take it seriously, I suppose. Well, obviously you did.
Well, I just think it's something that hasn't been tried before.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I would ever use a set, and it is a bit of a stupid idea because you have to keep taking your headphones off every time you want to,
Yes.
I don't know, search for an album or something like that, unless you're really convinced that using your voice commands and things is going to work.
Yeah.
But for kids who constantly have headphones on, like they were in cartoons back in the 80s. I remember one of the Groovy Gang or something like that, one of the kids' cartoons. There was a kid called Headphones or Phones or something like that because he constantly wore headphones. Now that can be a reality. Yeah, what a load of crap. Next up is the Moto Tablet G84. That's what it's called, just the Moto Tab G84.
Right. Copying Samsung.
Right. It is, yeah. Ted, what do you know about
Nothing,
these?
and neither do they really. The G84 tablet is supposed to be arriving soon, and it's got 4 JBL Tune speakers with Dolby included. It's got a pogo pin thing on the bottom for a magnetic keyboard and cover. And it looks like there's a stylus included as well, but no one seems to really know very much about it yet. It's an update to the G70, which we kind of do know about. Well, I think what's missing in this whole... If they're after Samsung here, then they need to include Ready 4 on it, because that, for me, that would make a huge difference. Ready 4 with a Samsung Galaxy Tab just works out of the box. You just tap a button and you're straight into Ready 4, and it works beautifully. It even works with a cable to the TV. If Motorola are serious about this, that's what they need to do. They need to get that. But we don't even know where this is being pitched in terms of price, so it's a bit hard to say. How much was the G70? Let's have a look. €380 current price. So, you know, these are clearly not cheap.
What size was the screen on the G? Oh, it's 11-inch. I was thinking that was maybe called the G84 because there's an 8.4-inch screen, perhaps. That'd be nice, but no.
Then at the moment, they've also got the G62 tablet out there. They're all LCD-based tablets, and we don't know if that's going to change. So this is a real coming soon, I think. But yeah, Motorola, kit it out as Ready 4.
What's the connection between... What does the 62 and the 70 pertain to, so that we could make that judgment with the 84? Does the 7 have 7 gigabytes of RAM, or...
Don't know.
Is it their 70th attempt at a tablet?
No, I don't think you're looking too deeply. I don't think you want to find anything. It's just a number.
I know, but it's a bit of an illogical number. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a pattern. Why go G62? And then, all right, we're going to follow up the G62 with the G70. And then, well, the G70's been out a year. We need another one. Let's go for the G84. Why not the G71?
Well, yeah, precisely. I think
or the G70.
I honestly think it's just a number, and I think you're looking too deeply.
No, I need to have a rationale for this.
Anyway, we don't know much about it yet, so we'll come back to it when we've got some firm details. But yes, ready for.
Yes, okay. 84, you mean? Not ready for. Right, Asus sells the largest micro LED monitor ever for a cool. I actually read this earlier. I'm going £200, but it's not. It's £200,000, $200,000.
Ridiculous.
And it's 4K. It's got a low refresh rate as well. Doesn't it look amazing? It's only 135 inches in size, and has a 2000 nit brightness thing. So I imagine this will be set in an art gallery for people to show their works of art on.
And priced at art gallery pricing, isn't it? So I think you're absolutely right. That's where it's not going to end up in people's houses at that stupid price. It's more like this stuff that Samsung are doing with huge displays in stadiums and arenas, isn't it? I think that's a pared down version of that kind of thing.
Well, whatever Panasonic were showing me off their 4K displays, they said to me that the refresh rate doesn't matter whenever you're at that size. And whether it's 60 or 120 hertz, there is no real difference that you can see. Although whenever it comes to gaming, there's a bit of a difference. But whenever you're displaying something like art, and this has a color gamut of 95% DCI-P3, which is pretty phenomenal, to be honest. I don't know that we have better than that on the market at the moment. But we, as in you and I, on the market, But this is it's a good-looking screen. It would be nice to have this in the house just to test and watch Star Wars on. That'd be fun.
Then. Go on,
Coronation
go
Street,
and buy one.
EastEnders.
Yeah, have one.
Yeah.
I
wonder if it comes with BBC iPlayer installed in the smart.
Have you got a wall big enough?
I do, actually. I measured my wall because we were talking about projectors a wee while ago, and I was trying to work out what my largest screen might be, and I reckon I could get up to 150.
Right.
On one of the walls.
So you just about do this one then,
Yeah.
Well,
okay, so moving on to another little piece of technology that I've got a funny feeling Ted's going to be salivating over. This is the Soundcore Motion 100 and the 300, which are being launched by, it's Soundcore's by Anchor.
Yeah.
Anchor, yeah. Yeah. And these are two little Bluetooth speakers that Ted... Are you salivating?
Yeah. I really fancy one of these. Not because they're going to be blow your socks off good, but just because they're so cute and desirable, and they look as though they're really nicely made, as we've come to expect from Soundcore. Soundcore stuff, usually the design is really nice, and these are portable devices that you hang from your rucksack or you go off to the beach with or whatever, and the battery lasts for 12 hours on the little one and 13 on the big one. So, these are not going to be particularly weekend devices unless you take an Anchor power bank with you. But yeah, 79 quid and 59 quid for the two. They just look nice. When you look, I've also linked to a review that in the show notes that was done by PCMag.com, and they've got some close-up photographs of it there. And when you look through those photographs, you can just see the design language is just lovely. All those lovely curves and USB-C as well. And I just really want one. Not because it's going to be blowing your socks off in terms of performance, but because it's so cute.
I'm actually looking at the 100. I like the 100s. They're really quite nice.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
The 100's a lot smaller, and it's got controls on the top. It looks a wee bit sort of fatter.
Where are you saying that?
Maybe. on the screen in front of me. It's sitting about a foot and a half from my
Fair
face.
enough.
I'll stick in Digital Trends have
okay.
information on it, so I'll whack that in live on air, boring our poor listeners. 100 picks. I'll just call because I haven't ascertained whether or not it's a review. There you go.
Okay, I'll have a look at that then. I hadn't seen the 100. I think I was looking at the 300. Oh, yeah. It's a different shape, isn't it? And it's got different control cluster arrangements. Oh, yeah, that's cute, isn't it?
It's 20 watt, which is the same as this little speaker beside me. No, it's not. This one's 10 watt. Never mind. It's got two 10 watt drivers inside of it, so it should be pretty good.
Yeah. I like that one even more, I think. No, you mustn't. You just bought a Leviathan.
Yeah, you can send that back.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, very nice. I quite fancy one, even if no one else does.
No, I think I would have the 100 as well. Although I am noticing that I have one little Bluetooth speaker that I was really excited about using. I've used it like twice in the last year.
Yeah. I think we're all guilty of that.
Get an opportunity.
Bluetooth speakers all over the place here, and I try to use them in rotation, but it's a bit silly, really. I think it's because generally Bluetooth speakers are cheap enough to be an impulse purchase almost, generally. Yeah, of course you can get expensive ones, but I think that's the reason we tend to just say, oh yeah, I fancy one of those, like I just did with those, and I must resist because that will sit on a shelf and not be used most of the time as well. Anyway,
well, it's a nice segue to the next one, because sitting on a shelf for the next couple of years and a cheap impulse purchase really does work out that the Fujifilm InstaPAL will become that in its lifetime. Ted, this is a tiny little camera that you can take around with you and take pictures with, and then put on a shelf and forget about it. Am I right?
I was just a bit disappointed that it didn't do video, to be honest, because I could see this as being a really useful, not quite body cam, but certainly with a bit of blue tack stuck in your car as an evidence gatherer while you're driving or whatever. But it's not. It's photographs only. They're selling this on the back of the fact that it's so tiny that you just have it in your pocket always. And you remember that HTC did one of these, very similar kind of idea, and then you hook it up to your app on your phone, and you can then process the apps from there. Fujifilm are after Polaroid here, because they're trying to do this whole instant thing, and they're trying really hard to kind of make it all work. This thing, at the moment, well, on release, it's going to come with a bundle which includes for $200 a printer and paper and stuff. And my question was, if you didn't want the printer and you didn't want the paper, you were prepared to just have the little thing in your pocket and use it via your phone or your tablet or computer or whatever. But you can't seem to buy just the unit. You've got to buy this thingy. So I'm guessing that the unit itself is likely to be about 150 quid or something like that, if eventually they do sell it. But yeah, it's a really basic camera, with low resolution results. It's just a bit of fun. It's one of those fun things that people can, and it's got some capabilities. Like, for example, you can set it up to do. You can get it to do. I've forgotten the name of it. What's it called? Where you intervalometer, where you take a series of shots over a series of time and set it up to do that. And it's got a USB-C charging thingy on it and a micro SD card slot, so you can take lots and lots of shots on it until the battery runs out. And yeah, the downloadable app. That's it, really. It's just a bit of fun, but it's an expensive bit of fun, I think. And I can't imagine, at least while that $200 price tag's on it, many people doing it. What do you think?
It's tiny. It's very losable. I take it that's a button on the top. There's the big jutty out piece.
I think it's a flash. I think it's a flash, which kind of the button, the shutter button, is actually the big thing on the middle of the back of the thing.
Right. Okay. Which isn't obvious at all from the pictures.
No, you're right.
Okay. I figured it would be a nice sort of plunger thing that you could just but hitting around the back might be a bit more difficult. But looking at the USB Type-C connector at the back, this thing is really small.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say you could fit about 4 USB Type-Cs across the back of it and fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you an idea of just how small this thing
There
is.
There's a picture further down of somebody holding one, so you can see from that how small it is. But yeah, I think it's maybe they're just going for impulse buyers and stocking fillers for people with plenty of money for their kids. I don't know.
And as usual, they have to launch a printer with these, and we always see that with the sort of gimmicky little cameras. Has a gimmicky little printer that is going to be used a couple of times. They realise just how much it is to get the paper to continue to use the printer, and then it's abandoned and sits at the bottom of a drawer gathering dust.
But as I say, it'll be interesting to see if they release the thing without that, and 150 quid for just the camera. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, it looks like fun.
It is. Logitech's latest Yeti microphones are going to have that bloody RGB in it.
They look nice.
I take it you're excited about these.
Really? What people may not know is that a while ago, Logitech bought out, what's the name? Blue. Yeah. So that they've been able to nick Blue's brand names of items, and they've done that exactly with this one, and they've called the first one the Yeti, which is exactly what Blue's was. It doesn't look quite like the Yeti, and the Snowball doesn't look quite like the Snowball, because I think they've made them look much, much nicer. The design is much more
well, that's true.
The design is just much more sleek and lovely, very kind of Apple-ish almost, or IKEA, or some. It looks like it's come out of some really top design house, and I really like the look of these. I'm not bothered about the RGB personally, but I think that particularly what they've done with the Snowball is so much nicer than the Snowball that I've got, which is a spare microphone which gets used now and again. And the one on the stand, the Yeti itself, just so cute. Oh, I really like these. No.
I guess that's maybe where my initial comments come from. The stands look rubbish.
Right.
It's not adjustable in any particular way. It doesn't look like it would be particularly useful, or you'd end up taking it straight off and putting it on something else. So I don't see any point in them actually shipping it with those stands. It looks like a waste of plastic.
Okay. Or metal. The Snowball that I've got hasn't got a stand. Oh, sorry, it has got a stand, but it's just the same as that. It's it's just screw in the bottom. You can take it off. I don't know if you can take this one off. And the Yeti here, the new Yeti, has got an adjuster on the pivot of the arm, so you can adjust the. But yeah, there's not a huge amount of control in terms of how you can place it. You're right, but I just like the design. What's that thing in the middle?
Well, that's the Logitech G Litra Beam LX. I'm glad you asked, because I think this is the most exciting one of the bunch. And having a look at it, there are options for this. There's the Litra Beam Premium LED, which is currently on sale on Amazon for £90, and it's a light. It's an adjustable light that you could buy two of and have either side of your screen to help light your face whilst you're Twitch streaming and all that with the kids. Mm-hmm. But I think I quite like this, as long as you can disconnect it from the stand as well, which I don't think you can.
Right.
But you can put it horizontal, or you can change it to vertical as well, or diagonal, I suppose, is in between those two, isn't it? And you can monkey around with it, and it's quite adjustable. I'd say that's the best of the bunch here. Right? That would be the one that entices me
I
most.
think the Yeti's the best of the bunch. I think it looks gorgeous, and no, I don't need another microphone. But if I did, I would be really impressed by the look of that. But, of course, these are all marketing photographs that make things look just wonderful.
Yes, yeah. Well, having a look at the original Litra Beam on Amazon, it looks kind of cool. I wouldn't mind one of those. If they were to drop that price down when the new one comes out, I might pick one up just for fun.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. Maybe even two. They did a 2-pack for the original price. Okay, moving on to Windows 11 in a PC that's smaller and lighter than the iPhone 15 Pro. Ted, you could replace your Geekom with this and be even less impressed.
I wonder if it's even more crap.
It costs around $280. It's powered by electricity. It's got an Intel J4125 CPU inside with Intel UHD graphics 600. I'm not sure of that chipset at all. I've never heard of it before. It's complemented by 8 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. It's got 128 gigabytes of storage and Bluetooth 5.1 and Wi-Fi 6 built in, and can output 4K at 60 Hz. There's USB Type-C, USB 2.0 and a micro SD card slot. But with an expansion dock, users can take full advantage of 4 additional ports.
Oh, that's a separate item, is it?
It is, so yeah. What you could do is you could buy yourself a whole computer as well.
Yeah.
And use that instead.
Because shipping something with USB 2 ports in 2023 seems a bit kind of mad, doesn't it? They should have put USB 3 ports, at least, on the device itself. But then I suppose they'll probably argue that would have made it bigger. I don't know. I'm a bit off with these mini PCs at the moment. I think they've got a way to go. From my experience, I've had 2 of these now. I've had a B-Link and this Geekom, and frankly, I'm not particularly impressed. I'm impressed in some ways, but not overall. They haven't got there yet. And trying to make it even smaller than the Geekom. Well, this is on a Kickstarter, isn't it? They've raised $43,000 at the time. Oh, that's right, because someone pointed out that they've raised in the group. Someone pointed out that if they've raised $43,000 at the time of writing, which is 3,200% more than their original funding goal, this means that the original funding goal was $1,300.
Well, that doesn't generate such blinding headlines, does it?
So, I don't know. I think this is something and nothing. One day, this will all happen. But then by then, we'll all be just doing everything in the cloud anyway, won't we?
Well, yeah, but I suppose I've been a bit hard on it there. Where the idea of this with a little portable screen, portable keyboard and portable mouse are very small, and you can just do some basic computing and not try to convert videos like Mr. Ted Salmon was trying to do on his Geekom.
Yeah, exactly. Too demanding.
Yeah, you won't be running Starfield on this anytime soon, Ted.
Very sad.
All right. We do have some information on the idea of a Pixel Watch 2 because some features and a fancy new strap have been leaked online. And unfortunately, it looks like the Pixel Watch 2 is going to continue on something of the same design as before, which is really disappointing.
Too small.
It looks like it goes on a dainty wrist. It doesn't look manly. And I'm sorry, but I need a chunky watch with.
I like that
burglar disabling features built in.
I like that blue strap. The colour of that blue. Some of the colours that come out of these manufacturers these days are very. They seem to be kind of pastel-y in shades, don't they?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Well, they are. They're very colour-y-ish. Yeah, colour.
But you don't fancy a Pixel Watch 2 then?
No, I don't. I was really hoping that they might shake up the design and do something. The way Samsung does a couple of different watches, where you have one that kind of caters to that chunky feel, and then you've got the daintier ones and the fitness ones and things. Having bought Fitbit, they might have learnt some of the things of what was going on there, but this just looks easily damageable. And if you're fixing around the back of your sink, as I did with my TicWatch, and damaged it quite badly, you're not. This isn't going to last 5 minutes in my house.
No, they are quite exposed because of the design of the domed front. You're quite right.
And I'm not going to go, I'm going to fix the sink, but first I need to take off my watch.
Yeah.
I'll set it over there. Oh, put down a piece of kitchen roll just in case it scrapes itself on the table.
Anyway, this is all leaks. No one knows anything yet. It's coming on Wednesday. Yeah. The event is on Wednesday, on the 4th.
That's true, and we'll find out more about something that we're going to talk about later on. Right. Speaking of Fitbit, they have also announced a $160 Charge 6, which comes with YouTube Music, Google Maps, and Google Wallet as well. And this might be something to do with the fact that Google own Fitbit, yes. And they're able to put all of these things on. YouTube Music is a particularly interesting one because that's one of the reasons why I got rid of my smartwatch in the first place, because I wasn't able to control other things with YouTube Music on it. You know, where you're maybe in your car looking to skip a track, you can't do that through your watch, which is ridiculous. This
is where these Fitbit band thingies are becoming more and more like watches all the time. So you can control your music on this. You can even browse playlists. Google Maps gives you turn-by-turn directions, and you can make payments, as you say, using the wallet. These fitness bands are just becoming smartwatches, really, which is good, I suppose. You know, for people that don't want to have a fully-fledged big round or big square watch on the wrist, but want something more dainty, with hopefully a battery that will last longer. They've still got notification options and stuff that you'd expect in a smartwatch as well.
Yeah. It really does look a desirable watch, I have to say. It's going to be $160 when it comes along. There's no confirmation as to what that's going to be in pounds, but it'll probably be £160 when it arrives, and you get 6 months of Fitbit Premium included in that price, which I don't know how much Fitbit Premium generally costs.
I think it's £5 a month, and you have to be careful that you cancel the blooming thing, or they just start charging you, because when you set it up, you've got to agree to give them payment details. Well, if it's anything like the Pixel Watch, you'd have to.
But then why would you buy a Fitbit without using the membership?
Well, you might want to just use it for notifications and mapping and wallet and YouTube Music, and yet it's still a watch, and keeping the cost down. You don't need... I mean, my situation, really, I don't need all the fitness stuff, but you don't have to use it. But you can make use of the other Google services on it, which is up to now has not been that possible on a Fitband, only a smartwatch.
Okay, all right, I guess I'll let you away. But I'd recommend people go and do a Amazfit or something like that instead, where they're just as good looking and don't have any of that crap built into it.
Yes.
But I suppose this is technically another Google Watch, so...
Yeah, I suppose so.
Carry on. Xiaomi are getting on the bandwagon as well with the Watch 2 Pro, which is actually a really nice looking watch, big chunky thing, much more appealing.
You're so manly.
It's got a 1.43 inch AMOLED display with a 466 by 466 pix resolution. It's powered by a Snapdragon W5 plus Gen 1 processor. It's got 2 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of storage, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, NFC, GNSS positioning, and it's water resistant up to 5 ATM. Weighs 54.5 grams, and hopefully it'll be a lot cheaper than some of the competitors. No, it's €330 for the LTE model, or €270 for the Bluetooth only model.
And it's Wear OS.
And it's Wear OS. That's a good
Yeah,
point too.
so that's really good. That makes a difference. But if you had a Xiaomi phone and tablet, and you kind of had all these Xiaomi stuff, this would just be perfect. I'm sure it'll hook up beautifully with their other stuff. It's got their own app on that you can use. Obviously, again, there are someone else after Samsung with this. And you're right. It does look really nice, and it looks like it's got a adjustable crown on the side as well. And very macho.
However, unmacho is the Smart Band 8, which is the next iteration of their Smart Band.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
$40, and there's a nice little bracelet-y type
$40
leather and chrome style watch band.
That's cheap, isn't it? Blimey.
It is, but when these first came along, they were like $15 in
What,
pounds.
Xiaomi ones?
Or maybe that's the Huawei ones I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Remember they arrived and everyone, I think I even bought one as well, everyone got really excited about them. Because they were just like a pill that went inside a band around your wrist. Right. And they gradually increased with generation after generation in price because they started packing more and more into them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something like this, but it's now $40 instead of $15.
Okay.
One watch that I am very excited about that has been listed on Amazon.co.uk now is the Nubia smartwatch. And this has a particularly interesting flexible AMOLED display that goes right around your wrist.
Yeah.
Well, not right around your wrist, but halfway around your
Nokia did
wrist.
this. Do you remember?
They did, but only after Nubia announced it.
No, Nokia did this about 15 years ago. They did prototypes of right round your wrist folding display like that. Oh, no, sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay. This is a 4.01 inch display, and it's 4 inches round your wrist, so you can get an idea of how big that is. It's got a Qualcomm 8909W chipset. With 1 gigabyte of RAM and 8 gigabytes of storage. There's connectivity of the eSIM 4G support that's built in too. It's got 244 PPI and a 420 milliamp hour battery. I think this thing looks cracker. I'd love one of these, to be honest. The reviews aren't spectacular, so maybe it's been sold. But there's one picture of a dude's wrist with this on it, and with that sort of bronzy chrome, brassy kind of colour around the edge, it really looks fantastic. His review appears to be in Italian, maybe? Not sure. But one English review says it's okay but needs more. It's got no weather, no camera, no speaker, and it's poor. Or the speaker is poor. It needs new watch faces as well. So maybe it's not supported as heavily as some of the other ones, but that's because of the strange aspect ratio of the.
This is.
Of the
I think this is the one that Flossie Carter goes on about. I don't know if you ever watched Flossie Carter's YouTube reviews, but he has this box with loads and loads of watches in, and he always brings this one out as the one that's his complete favourite. I remember him doing that 2 or 3 times, and I'm sure that's the same one. Because Nubia, I mean, we never seen Nubia. On this Amazon website page, it says currently unavailable, which it seems to be in keeping with Nubia stuff. You don't seem to be able to get it very easily.
Well, Nubia's ZTE, and there can be some contention whenever it comes to ZTE selling their wares in various Eastern countries, Western
anything?
countries.
I'll look up Nubia on Amazon and see if there's anything Nubia for sale. No.
Well, there's the Nubia store,
not.
which has stuff. There's the Red Magic. There's the Red Magic 5 gaming phone, which isn't for sale.
It's not Nubia, though, is it? It's not
yes.
Nubia branded.
No, it's not. They use Red Magic instead.
Yeah.
But it's known elsewhere as the Nubia 5G gaming phone.
Okay. Anyway, it does look very nice, you're right, but it doesn't do very much by the sounds of it.
No, because it's I don't think it's widely adopted. They probably just had a couple of thousand made, and they sold out, and then didn't really go anywhere further after that.
Interesting concept.
But there's a bunch of these, actually. I'm having a quick Google. There's the Nubia Alpha, which is a smartwatch that dates back to 2019, and it's got a forward-facing camera on it as well, so you could video conference via it. It looks well hard. No, tough rubber. It's got like chrome bezels, and it is a rose gold colour. I'll stick that XDA article in there to the show notes as well, and people can have a read at it if they're in any way enthusiastic about it. I want one. I can walk around beefy. It looks like something like a Russian mafia kind of guy would wear.
How ridiculous.
Next to his tats.
Bling. It's bling.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe in a different colour. Maybe black. Might be nice.
Did I tell you that I got a Nothing Phone 2 in this week for review? No. I'm trying to work my way through it, and I've got my SIM card in it, and I'm using it as my primary device. And actually, there's an awful lot to like about it. But the least nice thing about it is its blooming size, which is quite interesting because the next item was about Nothing's sub-brand called CMF, which they're trying to knock out cheap as chips stuff for, part of the kind of Nokia empire. So the Nothing empire. And this first one is a watch. And it looks very much like an Apple Watch, as does the Nothing phone. Looks very much like an old iPhone. So it's square, or slightly oblong, and it looks like it's actually very attractive. Particularly, I guess, if it hooks up really nicely for someone that's got a Nothing phone. It's really cheap as well. $69 they're talking about. It's got GPS, IP68, pulse rate monitoring, sleep tracking, step counters, blah, blah, blah. And they reckon that the battery, because it's got this kind of monochrome display, which emulates what's on the phone, they reckon that the battery could last 13 days. And although I don't particularly like the styling of it, frankly, I think it's a bit clunky and very much like the phone. At that price point, I imagine they might well do. It depends really if it's got Wear OS on it or not, and they're not saying much about that at the moment. They're not saying if it's proprietary software or if it's Wear OS, or indeed if there's any apps you can put on it, from an app store or how that might work. It's a bit sketchy at the moment, but yeah, I don't know. Certainly cheap. What do you think?
Cheap's always good. It makes a nice stocking filler, and someone who is on the fence about using a smartwatch can start to get a feel for it. But I think whenever it comes to Nothing, it's just a matter of time before it arrives on a fire sale or something like that.
I don't know. The Nothing Phone 2 pricing is holding up. The Nothing Phone 1 price has dropped by about £100 now, which you'd expect this time later. So I'm not sure that. Anyway, I mean, the CMF brand is a thing here. This is not really Nothing at all. It's CMF. it's like Soundcore by Anchor. It's CMF by Nothing.
Ah, yeah, okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
So
it's like Nubia by ZTE. Hey. All right, moving into the phone zone. We're going to start with the Pixel 8, the Pixel 8 Pro, the Pixel 8 Pro Max, the Pixel 8S, and the Pixel Watch 2. Two of those phones I just made up. Can you guess which ones they are?
The pricing looks like it's all like £100 more over the board, doesn't it, from these leaks?
Yes, yeah. I think they'll just knock them in where the Pixel 7's sitting, with a wee bit of an update or an upgrade on the price because of the current interest rates and things like that, because everything's more expensive. Yeah?
Yeah. I was just looking at what my Pixel 7 256GB started off at $699. Pixel 8 256 is clearly going to be $899 because the Pixel 8 is pricing at $699, but that's going to be the 128 presumably. Well, unless they're not going to make a 128, I think they are though. And that's going to be £800 for a Pixel 8 for me. And the Pro, if you want 256, presumably they're going to make a 128. It's going to be £1,099. So yeah, it's just all going up and up and up, isn't it? Pixel pricing itself out of the market. What happened to the Nexus days when everything was cheap and a test bed?
Yeah, and they were trying to get people on board with Android. Oh wait, they got people on board with Android. Now they're stuck in Android and can't do anything about
it. And the watch also, they reckon, is going to cost £349, which we've already covered earlier, but that's not so much of a price bump.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose I'm on the Pixel 6, so my next logical step is to upgrade to the Pixel 8 Pro from the Pixel 6, but I'm really feeling Samsung at the moment.
Right.
And I'm liking what we're going to be talking about fairly soon. If
Let's
not
get
now.
to it.
Can we talk about it? Yeah. That'll be the Samsung Galaxy S24, which we have seen some images arriving on, and it looks like there's something familiar about this design, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Ted, can you help me with it? What does it look like?
It looks like my Samsung Galaxy S23. I think the news here is that the S24 range, so at the moment the S23 Ultra and the S23 Plus do not look like the S23. The S23 has got this blocky flat screen design, and the S23 Ultra and Plus do not have. I think what they're saying here is, from these leaks, is that across the range they're going to get some uniformity, and they're going to go for flat screens and square edges all round like the S23 is. I think that's what I read into this. Do you?
Yes, and that excites me.
Okay.
It excites me a great deal. I would like this very much.
Okay.
I think this is what I've been looking for, in a handset. One that is iPhone-like, without Apple's entanglement, and just packed full of features and power and great cameras and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this might be finally the coming together of everything that people have been looking for that are not based in Camp Apple.
You've done your Pixel 2 years, now you need to move back.
Yeah, and having the Galaxy Tab, I realise that I am missing the Samsung thing.
Oh yeah, because you got the 9, didn't you? Yeah.
I work nicely with it.
Yeah.
No, the flat design I think is particularly attractive. Although whenever they say flat design, that doesn't include 3 little bumps for the cameras that are protruding out the back. But can't really do anything about those, and it does mean that it's not going to sit flush on a desk.
Yes, that is true. Without a case, in which case you can forget about the design. I think the flat screen is the thing. I do like using my S23. I say mine; it's actually PR's S23. But they don't seem to want it back. So, I mean, it is nice that it's got a flat screen. I do agree. The Nothing Phone 2's got a flat screen. I think the trend these days are that flat screens are coming back. And I think a lot of people like us are welcoming that.
Yeah. No, I'm on board with these, and the kind of the possible flat sides to it just make it an easier device to carry. I'm okay with not sharp edges, but rounded edges and 90-degree angles and stuff like that. That's grand. That makes it feel more phony.
Good.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Name of the game. We've got a bit of Chromebook news seeping in here, which is something to do with Android games. But it looks like Chromebooks are going to be getting a little gaming dashboard that allows you to, fart around with the controls whenever you're using your repurposed Stadia controllers and things like that, to give you a more pleasant experience whenever you're trying to game on a Chromebook using the Play Store to play games. Ted, is this worth getting excited
Not
about?
particularly. We've seen this on phones, left, right and centre. All the major phone manufacturers now include one of these slide out from the left panels where you can just quickly access. Most recently I was playing with the Motorola one, and sure enough it's the same as Sony and the same as everyone else. Slides out from the left and you get quick access to all sorts of controls, and this is exactly what they're doing with the Chromebook. It's not huge news. It's the same game dashboard that that Google have been working on with the Pixel and the phones and Android and all the rest of it, but it's coming to Chromebook. Chrome OS is grabbing it, so that's good.
Excellent. Terrific. And that's about it for the name of the game. So we'll move into Flap Your Trap about an app. And we're going to start off with with a social network that has, until recently, resisted the urge to have an actual Android application, which is bonkers. And it's crazy that they've managed to survive this long as well. But Post, which is a social network that not many people, I would say, are aware of unless you're a publisher. A Post is going to be doing an Android application.
Hurrah!
Ted, you're on Post, aren't you?
Along with you and Robert McCrowan, I think it was, and was it Chris Kelly? We all, when Post came along, we all kind of signed up for it to have a look and nab our early adopter status. And yeah, one of the main reasons I didn't go for it was that it didn't have an Android app, but now it has. I can't find it. I've actually looked through, and there's on their website. There's only links to the iOS Apple app, not an Android one. So I'm guessing it's either America first for now, or it's just not ready yet. But
I got the impression from the article it's coming soon.
Okay.
It's not there yet.
Well, in that case, that would fit with it not being available. So yeah, it looks okay. Post as a social media, a social network thingy. It depends what you kind of wherever I lay my hat, I think is the phrase. As to which one you use and which one you get in on board with. It does look quite nice and quite pretty. Maybe when the Android app comes along, I'll install it and have another look.
Right.
But you're right.
Okay, I'm actually trying to sign into it now.
But you're right. It is very publisher orientated. It's supposed to be for writers in the same way as that other one. What's it called? Medium. Yeah, I think it's very much like that. They're going for people that write for a living, or at least for YouTube. For the social media. Anyway. You can't sign in.
No, I'm actually trying to sign in to Post now. I got confused there, and I was trying to sign in to TechCrunch.
Ah, right.
God knows why. That's there. I'm in now. Right, with both of my followers.
Yeah, me and Robert probably, is it? Or was it Chris? I can't remember now.
Oh no, actually, I've got two. Oh. No, I've got two accounts.
Oh, blimey.
I'll sign out of that one and sign back in the other one. Yes, there we go.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what the Android app looks like. So we'll have a look at that. Or I will.
Oh, got 3 followers. 3 followers.
Very exciting.
It is. Totally. Okay, we'll sign out of that again, and I'll go back in this time next year.
Spotify will translate your podcasts into native languages with AI is the next one. And this is really interesting, I think. And I think it's aimed, well, it's starting in Spanish at first, but I think it's aimed at people whose first language is not English. I think they're assuming that most podcasts are out there in English. This is the impression I get. And what they're talking about is translating English podcasts into native languages, starting off with Spain and then going to French and German afterwards. So this is not the other way around. It's not like we can listen to a Spanish podcast and have it translated into English. Well, not at the moment anyway. And so interesting then that will presumably use, robotic voices, which will get better over time, that just on the fly take what anyone is saying and just change the language. It sounds all very impressive, doesn't it?
It does, until you realise that this is likely going to be behind their supremium subscription tier.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So in order for you to test this out, you will have to subscribe, and if you're unhappy with the results, then you maybe have to unsubscribe. So you'll have to pay to find out.
Fair enough. But, somewhere down the line, it'd be quite good for people that their first language isn't English or Chinese. I'm sure there's a lot of Chinese podcasts out there.
There could well be. But then there's many, many different dialects in Chinese.
That's true.
So capturing them all might be quite difficult.
Could indeed.
Too right. Okay, next up is Microsoft Word is 40 years old. Wow, it's been 40 years since they nicked it. Wow, amazing.
Who did they nick it from?
CPM.
Really?
Well, that was more Windows, actually, more so than
Okay.
Microsoft. But yeah, old Billy Gates wasn't exactly the most honest person back then. But it worked out for him in the end. Comparing Word, the old DOS application that you would run from your DOS prompt, comparing that to Office 365 today, there's a couple of differences that that most people are going to notice. Ted, when was the first time you started using Microsoft Word? This is Harkback territory.
Yeah, it is
actually.
really, isn't it? I can't remember. When was 40 years ago? 23, 13, 03.
1983.
Was it 83 or 93?
Yeah, as the article says.
Oh, does it? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember. I started using DOS on computers in about 1986 or so. So I'm guessing that probably around that time. But, then we went through the whole decades of getting it on a disk and not being online all the time and having to then buy a new copy every year. And having these DVDs and also you remember having to phone up with those stupidly long string of numbers, or they're supposed to work on when things did get online, they're supposed to work online via dial-up connection, but it never did, and you always had to phone up, and sometimes you got the automated say the number now type thing, but then that sometimes didn't work, and so you had to wait and actually speak to a human being who was always American, and you would have to string it out. But yeah, you're right. This is a bit of a Harkback item, but it's just interesting that it's 40 years and it doesn't seem like it because we're old farts.
Oh no, it does seem like it, absolutely, whenever you have a look at the pictures of the original DOS version of it, which is obviously on a black screen with basic commands that you flick about, but the mouse access appears to have been there back in 83. But yeah, it obviously I don't think there was XL straight away. I don't know when XL came along.
No.
But there was a real... I remember having all kinds of different word processors back on my 8086.
Yep.
When I eventually got it. But that would have been 10 years, or maybe 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
About 1990, I had an Amstrad PC 1640, which I've ranted and raved about in the past. And I don't think I had Word on it, but I probably had Word Perfect or something like that, one of the competitors. And RPED, which is another one that only did 800 lines. But it was really just about what you could get your hands on, because things weren't as easy to find. You couldn't just walk out and buy Word out of a shop or get a copy of Word unless you knew someone who was into it back then. Piracy kind of took off soon after that, but at the time, whenever you bought a computer, you got a selection of software with it, and you probably used that for the next 7 years until you changed the computer and got a new selection of software.
Yeah. There's also the whole Scion thing, which was significant in my past, where you'd have a word processor built into the Scion, which was actually really good. It was a very good one. Looking at this, the first one that came to Windows, does it say what year that is when it first came to Windows? 89. So 1989, that colourful one. I mean, in terms of where the ribbon is and where the controls are, it's not hugely different from what you would expect to see today in Word. It's all across the top there with a bold and an italic and underline buttons and a mouse and highlighting text to execute it. Obviously it's much more pretty now, and things have gone a long way forward, but yeah, you can see the bones of it there. 40 years, though.
Yeah, and they just like to move things from one menu to another now to confuse you. As soon as you're comfortable in knowing where something is, then they change it in the next iteration. Quite right. Yeah. But well, happy birthday to Word. You've never been better than you were back then. Yeah. Well, I suppose around maybe Windows 95, Word was almost, I think, perfect. That's when it peaked. Mm-hmm. And you could buy a copy of Microsoft Office, install it, and you'd be happy.
Yeah, until...
Whereas now you've got Office Online and Office 365, and you're just like, what? Why is that not working? Why is that not connecting to what I'm trying to do? Why do I have to put my Word documents in OneDrive? Bloody thing. Yeah.
I liked it when it started to be updatable, though. So I had this copy of Microsoft Publisher, 1997, I think it was, and I had that for years and years and years, and they just kept allowing you to update it. It took a long time to update it, but they let you update it, and then I think it was 2003 they updated it formally, and I got the new version of Publisher, and it suddenly became much better because you could you essentially got support online and blah blah blah. It was 1993 that was. No, 2003. No. Yeah, 2003. I can't remember. Anyway, this isn't Word, it's Publisher.
No. That's Publisher. Yeah. All right, moving into the Google Gallows and Chrome Corner section, where Ted, you can lead the way with what are we seeing now on Chromebooks? What's new?
Bard now works with your Google account and related apps, and I've tested this week, and it did to some degree do what it's supposed to do. So if you put a question into Bard and say try to reference something that you know is in your data, it kind of sometimes finds it and does it. Like, for example, you can say, tell me when I last emailed Gareth Miles, or tell me when I last wrote when did I write a review for the HTC One M8, and if that data is in any of your documents, your apps across the whole of the Google services, it should in theory go and find it and offer you the results for that. It did to some degree, but not universally. It's clearly a work in progress. And so, yeah, watch the space on this one, but it is starting to work. Have you tried that?
No, I haven't actually, but I'll give it a go after
Okay,
the show.
Google Slides is getting a real-time live mouse pointer. Gripping news there. So not only can you collaborate with people when you're doing a slides thingy online, but you'll be able to not only see where their cursor is, but also see where their mouse is pointing. Big Brother is watching you. The Google Wallet problem with Android 14 Q.
Hi, Mum. It's Gareth here. I'm just letting you know that Google Slides is adding a real-time live mouse pointer. Yeah, pass it on. All right, bye.
The Google Wallet appears to now have fixed the problem that it had with Android 14 QPR 1 Beta 1, which I reported before, and I couldn't pay at Tesco and felt most embarrassed. It's now fixed now, so you can use the QPR to pay for that. Google is shutting down Jamboard, which nobody cares about. When we spoke about this before, you said that you had used it, or your kids had used it, or there was a school link up with it. But no one else I know has ever used it. I installed it once and I looked at it and I thought, oh right, very interesting, and moved along.
Oh,
And
that's sad.
I thought you were going to comment there. Go on.
I did. I said that's sad.
Right, okay. Is that going to impact your offspring? No,
Not
no,
in the
okay,
slightest.
right.
But I remember using it once and thinking, this is fun, and never going back to it again.
Okay. I think it was aimed at the education market, really. This kind of whole whiteboarding thing. Anyway, Google's all-in-one bundle may soon combine subscriptions, but possibly not the ones that you want. So this article kicked off a discussion about, what applications, what services would people pay for if they had to. Supposing, for example, Gmail suddenly overnight became paid for only, would you pay for it? Google Calendar, Google Contacts, would you pay for those services? And if so, or if not, what would be the price limit on how you did it? We're already used to paying for YouTube and YouTube Music, some of us, where you can avoid adverts and data harvesting, and well, probably not the data harvesting, but what about Google Maps? What will people think about the paid model of Maps or Google Photos? To some degree, some of the bits of Google Photos are paid for already, but the question was, which services? You tried to say no to everything there, but there might come a point where you think, actually, that service was good, and now I haven't got it.
Well, at the same time, Google are where they are by not charging for things, by taking your information and then selling that on, selling the idea of what you're looking for on. And then they're still going to be able to do that, but you're going to be paying them for the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, but the scenario here is that they're going to cut it off. You can't get access to Google services, all of these services, unless you pay. So would you pay, or would you try and find some other solution? Which actually, by then, if Google did it, everyone else will be doing it as well.
Well, they'd have to probably step up something that they're doing. Like, obviously, I pay for YouTube Premium because I cannot deal with those ads on YouTube, and I use YouTube an awful lot, as much as anyone who is, well, no, a lot. So if they were to try to show me an ad every time I used Google Maps, which I don't know how legal that could possibly be if you're driving along and all of a sudden an ad pops up, but then that's like a billboard. Yeah, a billboard can show you ads. So they could theoretically do that while you're trying to negotiate your way through a busy junction. So, yes, I would end up having to pay in order to not do that. But you have to justify whether or not you use Google Maps often enough, or are you happy enough to go back to paper maps?
Or use another service.
Yeah. But Google Drive, I do pay for that.
Yeah.
So having that rolled into some sort of other bundle with YouTube Premium and having a few extra bits and bobs thrown in for a rounded price would be fine, as long as those ones are ones that, I think of Nanite when it comes to Google services. I would like to be able to tick the things that I use and then agree a price for all of those to be uninterfered with. That would be best. I'd say Google should do that, not do a Sky type subscription where you get this and you get this, and if you take out the movie package, they'll throw in Sky Atlantic, which has all the HBO TV programs included, so you're forced to take out the movie bundle to watch TV shows. The hottest TV show.
Yeah. I get the point. This proposed plan of Google's, though, is this all-in-one subscription is supposed to be including Nest Aware, 2 terabytes of storage in Drive for photos, Gmail, and whatever you put into Drive, and more benefits. So who knows what the bundle will end up being like. It depends how much it is and whether you're going to use those things. At the moment, I don't use 2 terabytes of storage in Drive, so I don't need to pay for that. But if they suddenly said, you can't use Drive at all unless you pay us £1.59 a month or whatever it is, then I would have to pay it, because I do use it and I rely on it. And I couldn't be asked moving everything to OneDrive, which we all hate.
But then at the same time, you'd have to ask yourself, hang on a second, I'm subscribing to something here, and part of that money is going to Nest Aware, which is something I don't use. Am I going to have to justify that by going out and buying a bunch of Nest cameras to get the most out of it? Which is not fair on people.
Not fair at all.
No,
I'm going to write to my MP about it.
Yes, and they'll go, what's Google? Right. Okay. Well. We're obviously pessimists about things, and like being pessimists about things. But a Google all-in-one bundle sounds nice as long as it gives you value for money, as opposed to them just going, we're going to throw a load of crap together, and you're going to have to pay this and get a load of crap that you're not using in order to get the crap that you are using,
like YouTube and YouTube Music.
And Play Pass. I like Play Pass. Okay, Ted, hark back time, where you can hark back about something you referred to earlier.
The Yotaphone 2, which I remember so fondly. I really liked my Yotaphone 2, and I wish that I didn't sell it and I had it just to play with, and that it was still supported even. 2014 this came out. And much like the e-ink phone that we spoke about earlier, which was highlighted by Kurt Kaufman, the Yotaphone 2 had a e-ink display on the back, and it was just adorable. It was very Pebble-like. The device itself had a 5-inch screen, which at the time was perfectly acceptable, and it certainly wouldn't be now. But the good thing about this phone was that you could save humongous amounts of battery life by using the e-ink display on the back, if you fancied, or if you were short of battery, or if you didn't mind Android working in a e-ink display type way with delays when you execute stuff, or you just want to use it as a notification center or clock weather stuff thing going on the back, as well as what is on the front. And I just used to adore this little phone. It was so nice. I didn't seem bothered by the fact, as I was saying earlier, that e-ink rendered Android apps slowly, like a Kindle does turning pages, although that's getting better now. It just seemed to be okay. It was all right. Your brain got into this kind of mode of saying, well, yeah, okay, well, it's e-ink. What do you expect? Let's just wait for my Gmail to load. And when I type on the keyboard, expect to do it more slowly with a bit of delay. You just kind of get used to it. And then if you really need to use it as a normal phone, you turn it over, of course, and use it on the front with a nice bright AMOLED display, incidentally. And it was just a really nice experience. Yota, I think it's supposed to be pronounced, they also put their own widgets on board and apps as well. So if you wanted to just use the back of it with your, their stuff on it, it has the feel actually of a nothing phone. They've kind of bundled some stuff in it that makes it look like the e-ink display. It makes it look like it's designed to be a part of the whole setup. And it looked really nice. And a lot of those widgets were really good. There's lots to like about it. There's in 2023, 9 years later, there's an awful lot not to like, because it won't work really. It started on KitKat and upgraded to Marshmallow, so Android 6 it ended on. But I was also surprised that way back in 2014 we were on Snapdragon 801 chipset, and if you'd asked me before I looked at the data here, how long ago Snapdragon 801 was, I would have said much more recent than that. But that was 9 years ago. Amazing.
Wow.
Because that Snapdragon 801 chipset I always thought was pretty decent. It worked really fast, well. Anyway, so the speaker on this was crap, as I remember. It was quite loud. Sorry, no. It was quite good quality, but it was not very loud. So don't expect any, if you're in the car or whatever, that wouldn't work very well. It also didn't have much storage. I think it was 32 gigabytes, and there was no expansion for storage. But this was just about the fun factor, and I can't even remember, to be honest, how much it was on release. I think if I had to guess, I would say 500 quid. I think it was a premium device at the time.
Yeah.
Really nice, though. I really liked it. And if they released one now, I'd be very tempted. Which brings us back to the books, what's it called, that Kurt was talking about. Because you don't get the AMOLED screen on the other side to use it normally, but you do kind of get the experience. And 299 euros is an awful lot less than 500 quid for this, I suppose. Anyway, it was nice. Did you ever get hands on with one?
No, well, actually, yes, I did. I saw one at a trade show once. I think it was the first one. I've never seen that second one, but there was a third one as well.
That's right. It was released in Russia, wasn't it? And nobody could get hold of it. I think you're right.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame. But yes, I always loved the idea of the e-ink display, and I remember talking about it quite a lot. We covered it on the show when I first got a press release about it, actually, and I went to see them. I think it might have been in Barcelona, maybe it was in Berlin. I can't remember, but they gave me a bit of a tour of it, and it was different, and it was something that people really wanted to use. Yeah. I got quite a bit of feedback about that as well, and I remember articles that we put up on, at the time it would be Mobile Tech Addicts, would get quite a lot of traffic because people were excited about this.
Nice, yeah.
Back when we were
You're right, the Yotaphone 3 was a thing, and I'd forgotten about that, to be honest, but I'll put the link in the show notes to the 3. I seem to remember not being able to get one. I think it was that they released it in Russia and then did a deal with China or something, and it just wasn't readily available. But anyway, I'll put the link in the show notes. It did look quite different, and I'm not even sure if it had I'm not even sure if it had an e-ink back on it. I think it was more of a. Did it have e-ink back? I can't find that data. I don't think it has. Or has it? I don't know.
I don't know. I was having a look at some of the pictures there on GSM Arena, and I can't see a back to it.
No. Unless... No, yeah, it is a back. If you look at those top two pictures, you can see that the home button is down the bottom on the left one, and the Yota thing is on. So yes, it did have an e-ink back. But yeah,
The Verge have a bunch of pictures of it with the e-ink back.
Yeah. It's a moot point anyway, because I don't know, maybe you could find one on eBay or something. But that was on Android 7, so that would be seriously out of date as well.
It would be, but you never know. It's the sort of thing that XDA developers would probably love to support.
Yeah.
Oh, you can get it's a protector. You can get a protector for the screen for £3.
Okay.
For the Yotaphone 3. Mm-hmm. But they still sell quite a bit on eBay.
Snapdragon 625. That almost seems like a step backwards. It's
maybe it
confusing.
was. Maybe it was just a cheaper. Yeah. They were able to get a bulk buy.
Yeah.
Older
Very
processors. Anyway, we're hitting 2 hours, and we're about to move into the bargain basement. Blimey. They will be going for the Guinness Book of World Records here. Right. First one is... it's one of mine. Okay. This is the Samsung Galaxy A04s. This is 6.5-inch Android smartphone that comes in white. And it's made by, you guessed it, Samsung. It's got 32 gigabytes of storage. It's 4G. Wow. It runs Android 11. Ooh, okay, I didn't notice that actually. It's got a 6.5-inch screen, and it's dropped in price from £160 down to £109. I don't know, that's actually great value given it's Android 11, but perhaps it's upgradable, and that's just an old listing.
I wonder who this would be aimed at. Granny.
Could be, yeah, and kids, maybe 3 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes of RAM. There are other storage available or options as well. There's a 64 gigabyte version and the 128, but the 32 gigabyte one will suffice Granny, I suppose.
Certainly cheap enough. It's good for a Samsung, yeah.
Yeah, even the picture is, I believe, an elderly lady holding it.
Is it?
Made in Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah. Exynos 850. Yeah, this is built to a price point, isn't it? And there's a very clear target audience for this, I reckon. 5,000
milliamp hour battery, mind you.
Yeah.
50 megapixel camera.
Very nice indeed. Very nice. Right, do you remember the Mixida Ghost headphones? Have you? So have we. Well, they're in a drawer somewhere at my mum's house, and she used them for a while. Well, I'd forgotten all about this company, and then suddenly up pops a new pair of headphones, which actually look...
No. It's the E9 I've got.
It? You've got this one, have you?
I do. I do. And it comes in a box.
We've got the Ghost pair from 2016. So, Well, when I've told you that this is a really good deal, 70 quid down to 40 quid with 60 hours of battery life, USB-C charging, blah, 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 you can then tell us if it's good or crap.
I think it's a really good deal. I remember using these. I haven't used them in a while, mind you, because I upgraded to something else, but I thought these were fantastic. I do remember doing an unboxing as well. I'm just having a look on YouTube to see if I can find them, because they were good. They were good headphones. Yeah, I did 4 years ago. Wow.
So these have been around for a long time.
And I had the E10 too.
Did they have USB-C then 4 years ago?
No, they must be micro.
Oh, they've changed that then. So maybe this is an updated version then.
Oh my word, I had the E7, the E9 and the E10.
And they had active noise cancellation? Did they? Wow.
Although the E7 I did after the E9 and the E10 I did after the E9 as well.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, $39.99. So a bit of a bargain there.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with you on that. They might be 4 years old, but I used them for a good long time as my main headphones. And I don't know where they're hanging on my... I don't know where the rest of them are. There's one pair of them hanging up there, and I thought it was the E9, but I don't remember the E10 or the E7.
There's an E7 here on the Amazon page, the Amazon company page. Oh no, currently unavailable. So you can't buy the E7, but the E9 is the one we were just talking about. It looks like there's just those two. Oh no, hang on. Oh yeah, the E10. Oh no, they're all unavailable. All the rest of them. E8, E10, unavailable. And then there's this other one called the HD 901, which is unavailable as well. Anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, yes, good headphones. Yeah, worth getting if you need a wee set. Just for, I think they last for a ridiculous amount of time.
60 hours, it says, yeah.
Good grief, yes. All right, next one is the Honor Pad 8, which is a 12-inch Wi-Fi tablet. 12 inches. It's got an octa-core processor inside it. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, a 2K full-view display. I'm pretty sure we featured this in Bargain Basement before.
I think you're
but
right.
it's back down to £200 from £270. There's 8 speakers and it runs Android 12. It's a good looking tablet, this. If you want to grab one now for Christmas, it'll make a perfect... oh yes, that's right, the grandfather and the little girl dancing on it. Yeah, he's playing the guitar and she's singing. We have done this before. But this looks like a really, really good tablet. And I'm really considering picking one of these up for my son, because he's given off about that Nokia T20 screen being a bit pants.
Yeah. The
No
Nokia tablets are built down to a price. There's no question. Has this got an LCD or is it a OLED? It doesn't say, does it? I can't remember.
No, I'm blazing through it here to see if I can pick out some of the details. It doesn't actually say it's just 2K display, 2000 by 1200 full view display, whatever that means.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
No, I like that. I might pick one of these up for my son and put it away for.
It must be an
Crimbo.
LCD, mustn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be.
But as we know, from Samsung, LCD displays can be just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay, what's next? My scroll wheel's taking me away from the... Right, this is the SanDisk 512GB Ultra Fit USB 3.1 flash drive. And this is a thing that only sticks out 5mm from your USB-A port, and it's got 512, half a terabyte of storage on it. Just amazing. 130 megabytes per second read time, so it's not the fastest out there, but reduced from £34 to £32.40. Not a big saving, but apparently the RRP used to be 99 quid at some point. Anyway, I've ordered one of these because I want it for my laptop, which has only got a 512 drive on it, and I wanted another one. So I shall report back and tell you how this works out. But that's amazing value, I think, for that price.
It is. I have one of these in the back of my TV with, I think it's 128 gigabytes, but it was just such a little little nubbin that's sticking out of the USB slot. Or no, maybe it's not the TV, the shield. No, I can't remember where it is. No, it is the back of the TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. I'll report back anyway. See if my...
Someone's got a picture of it stuck into the USB on his car.
Well, I suppose you can stick it into any USB-A, can't you?
Yeah, and have MP3s on it playing back on your...
It does. It does look like a really nifty idea. There's not a 1 terabyte version. If there'd been a 1 terabyte version for a reasonable price, I might have even gone for that. But it'd be interesting to see, for not a huge amount of money, if it actually works.
Yeah, £35 is... Oh, there's a triple pack as well. How many's in the triple pack? How much is the triple pack? No, you can't get the triple pack on the 100 or 512. No poop. But you can get a triple pack on the 32 gigabyte, which is £17. Wow.
Save a quid.
That's still pretty good. 32 gigabytes, 3 of those. Stick that into all your TVs. Okay, next up is Soundcore by Anker. This is the A20i. A20i. These are true wireless earbuds. They're Bluetooth 5.3. They've got the Anker's excellent app, or Soundcore app, and they can do customized sound, and they've got all their own settings built in as well, so you can play around with it for a good while. 28 hours of playback, water resistant, 2 microphones, for clear calling, single earbud mode as well, so you can just put in one headphone or earbud and be able to hear the world around you if necessary. I think there's a transparency.
The thing about the one earbud is important to me because I've got one wonky ear, and sometimes I want to be able to put just one in, but get both the stereo channels through the one thing. And the way that it normally works is that if you leave the left one of them in the box, then it knows to do that automatically. And they clearly on this one have done the same thing, so that's really good.
Excellent. Okay. There's 9 hours of playback time in the earbuds themselves, and then 28 hours with the charging case as well. And they're down in price from 30 quid to £19. Wow. So I think that's a pretty good little thing to throw in the bottom of your bag if you're going for a long walk somewhere or what have you, and just need to get some tunes.
The case is not Qi, is it? No. It's a USB-C, isn't it? Yeah. You plug the pig in.
Yeah. I think I had a similar pair to these. They were quite large, but I think sometimes quite large ones can really help when people are calling you and they can see that you've got something in your ears, as opposed to really dinky ones. Because I have a wee dinky pair of edifiers, and I think that sometimes people aren't aware that I'm listening to something and maybe just ignoring them.
Right, next up is Chris Clayton, who has picked up, which everyone else missed, a reduction if you pre-order Nintendo Switch Super Mario Bros. Wonder from Currys. 25% off, so £37.50 instead of £50. And everyone seems to be doing that now. Everyone that's got a Switch has jumped on Chris's discovery and has pre-ordered one. They've probably run out by now. 25% off. I did it because I was going to buy it, as you know, and that makes it much more palatable. So when it comes along in October, I shall get it.
Yeah, good call. Obviously, this brings in the argument between digital download and physical media, so you can lose your copy quite easily. But Nintendo never put the digital copy on sale, or if they do, it's a paltry amount off the top. Especially if they're of their own IPs, like Mario. So good call. Right, next up is the Anker 555 portable power station. Now, this is a 2-for-1 here. Not, you don't get two for the price of one, but the price has a voucher on it, where it seems to be priced around £919 for the original portable power station, and then there's a voucher. If you tick it, you'll get £420 off it, which brings the price down to £899, I think. No, wait, hang on. No, £499. That would make more sense. Sorry, I'm just reading.
Perhaps that's the real price anyway.
Because, well, I think this is going to be superseded, and Anker are announcing new ones, aren't they? But there's also a similar deal where you can get £500 off the solar generator, which is the Anker 555, which has the power pack plus some solar panels as well. 2 solar panels, in fact, 200-watt solar panels. And that is reduced in price by £500 down to, I'd worked it out there, £899, which is a significant savings. So you can actually get, for less than the original price of the original unit, you can get 2 solar panels thrown in as well. I think that's really good value, and I would jump at that. I would, but I'm just not going to, because I honestly cannot justify having it. I don't think I would use it as much.
No, the one that Steve kindly bought me, I have to admit, it's great technology to have it, and the technology, and I have it charged up for if there is a power cut. Now my one is not as powerful as this one. This one is 1,024 watt hours, which is about 4 times the size of my one. And this has also got 2 3-pin plug holes in it, whereas mine's got 1. But essentially, it looks like it's very similar. It's just more powerful than mine. And it's got more sockets in it, USB-C sockets in it. But yes, I have to agree with you. And I've been honest with Steve about this as well. It sits here most of the time, just not doing anything. A couple of times it has paid, it's been worth its weight, because I have had power cuts and I've plugged in my router and my device that I want to be getting online with and whatever, and you can then make it all happen. You just can't, run a microwave and a fridge with it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're not that. You see, we're so used to electricity just always working, aren't we? You think, this will never be needed, just like you said. But actually, once or twice it has for me.
Well, with Storm Agnes just passing through there, that was a big test of your local electricity infrastructure. And I think if it's held up to that, there's not much chance of it going down unless there's something even more extreme around the corner.
Usually we get power cuts when someone's cut through a cable accidentally.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, good shout. And those reductions are just mad, aren't they? 420 quid and 500 quid.
Well, yeah, but there's a whole the Anchor Solex brand is about to arrive, so we'll be, or maybe they'll be rolling them out fairly soon because they've got wheels on them.
Very, very nice. Yeah. Right. The last thing is the Asus Chromebook Flip, and this is the CX3401, and it's 599 quid, reduced from 849 quid. And this looks like a real powerhouse. Ian Barton's got one of these flip Chromebooks, and he thinks it's great. It's a 14-inch version, and it's got an i7 chipset in there, 8 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. Looks really nice. Oh, there's a stylus that comes with it as well, which I think has got a silo as well. So, yeah, really nice Chrome. If you're in for a powerful Chromebook and not a, just managing to get through and do what it needs to do Chromebook, then that looks like a good deal at the moment. Very tempting.
Yeah, the 14-inch I think would be the sweet point, because I've got my Asus Flip as well, which is the 14-inch. It's just a beautiful size. Yeah. It fits in everything, and I've never wanted a larger screen on it because it's got that nice kind of the widescreen aspect ratio, which is particularly good.
Oh, hang on a minute.
I'm thinking this is the
16.
same.
That link in Amazon is for the 16-inch version. So if I...
Aye, but the 14
is that cheaper, though?
Oh no,
800 quid. So it's the 16-inch one at the moment is cheaper. Right. How mad is that?
Oh, but the 14 has an i7 inside of it. That 16 has an i5.
No. The 16 that I linked to was the i7. So, yeah. So that's just because they've got this particular one on reduced, isn't it? So, yeah, normally the 16 would be 850 and the 14 would be 800, which would be more in keeping. They haven't reduced the price of the 14-inch one.
I'm getting 12 monthly payments on that as well.
You bastard.
Yeah. Well, I'm not buying it just because you said that.
Yeah, anyway, nice Chromebook by the looks of it.
Yeah, it is. No, that's... And if Ian's bought it, then it must be
not exactly that one, but he's bought a flip model of some sort. I'm not sure exactly.
So it could be the Samsung flip.
No,
right,
no.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, we'll bring the show to an end there because it's 2 hours and 20 minutes in, and also I'm getting text messages asking where I am because I'm supposed to be several hundred miles from here. Yeah, okay, so if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I also have my Mastodon as well, and Post. You can find me on Post. I've got like 2 followers there, so let's see if we can get that up to 3 before the end of the year. I have my GarethMiles.com, where you can find all links, not to Post, but all links to relevant places that are interesting. Ted, where can they find you?
TedSalmon.com is where everyone can find me. Links in there to all I do, audio podcasts, and all the MeWe groups. Do join us in the MeWe group for Tech Addicts. As a number of people have done, this has been the biggest show so far with the most feedback from the MeWe group. So thank you for that, everyone.
Longest
sorry?
two. Longest two.
We're nearly. We're almost there. And yes, if you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that. That's at paypal.me/Ted Salmon. You're so kind, everyone.
Aren't they just? All right, well, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Enjoy the weather. Ted certainly will be, with it being chilly, cold, and really unappealing. And we'll catch us all in 2 weeks' time for another exciting installment of... what are we doing? Oh, Tech Addicts, yeah.
Goodbye.